Hello there! This is Imaduck, and you have just tuned into another great episode of Quack Poker. Quack Poker, episode number 8, I think. So here we are today, playing once again some 5 cent, 10 cent poker here on the lovely, crappy, lovely, juicy stakes. Just sat down, don't really know any of these players, I don't think, so what the heck, we will just play it and see how things go. Haven't even gotten a big blind yet, so we got a little time here to kill to talk about our beer of today. And this is a beer I've never had before. It's the Magic Hat Winter Seasonal, known as the Heart of Darkness Stout. Now, astute fans, let me hold that way up to the camera there. It's got a cool little label there. Astute fans might know that in my first episode, I had a homebrew beer, which is a homebrew I actually got off the recipe I got off the Something Awful forums. But there was a homebrew beer that I got from there that the recipe was also called Heart of Darkness. So now I'm very disappointed that for confusion's sake, I'm going to have to come up with a different name for that recipe. I've altered it a bit myself anyway, so probably should come up with my own name for it anyway. But here we are posting here. But anyway, it's their winter seasonal for Magic Hat. Magic Hat's a brewery I like somewhat. I feel like they have a lot of very interesting takes. We're going to go ahead and bet here since we probably have the best hand. And we'll see what he does. And there we go. Take down. Look at that. Taking down the first pot. Let's see if we can get every pot this, huh? Well, King 6 offsuit. I'll need a little help, but hey. Took it down with worse. Anywho, what was I saying? So Magic Hat I like a lot. I mean, what you're going to see the most of in bars and in stores is the Magic Hat number 9, which is what they call a pale ale that it's not a very traditional pale ale. It's not very hoppy. It's actually got a lot of fruit character to it. I guess for the price here, we'll just call and see a flop, whatever. I mean, it's... Okay, obviously we're folding here. Bit of an overbet shove there by this Nasio, whatever that is. But we're definitely folding here. Nothing else we can do. We haven't seen him do anything like this, but we just sat down, so we don't really know. But anyway, yeah, Magic Hat number 9 is their pale that you'll kind of see everywhere. And then they come out with lots of weird seasonals. Some of them I like, some of them I haven't. They certainly always do kind of weird takes on styles. So whatever style they claim that they're calling a beer, you always can be a little bit suspect of it. I'm going to go ahead and isolate here just to kind of see what's going on. Just already, starting out, testing players, seeing how they'll respond to things. That we get this guy who just shoved. He's just calling here. So, I mean, I guess we don't think he's super strong if he's just calling instead of raising. And the limper actually folds. Interesting. Here, I think, we bet 46 cents. And he'll probably fold if he doesn't have a hand. That raise there, I mean, obviously we have to fold. We don't know if this guy's being really aggressive or he's just had 2 hands or whatever. Don't really know anything about him, but obviously we'll give that up. That's fine. It's yours. You want those few chips that bad, they are all yours. So I don't know. So Magic Hat Brewery, I like their stuff. You can find it in a lot of stores, at least around here. I assume you can get it everywhere. I've certainly seen the number 9 all over the place, and I'll bet you in any place that has craft beer, and they'll probably have their seasonal. So here we go. This Heart of Darkness, their winter seasonal. They say the ancient ritual of brewing something. Here on this flop, we can't really do anything. Totally missed us. We'll just check it back. And this guy's been betting a lot, but again, this isn't really a flop we can fight over. We'll just fold it here. No reason to get too crazy. Right off the bat, though, now we're kind of suspecting that this guy's pretty aggressive and going in pretty light. Anyway, no need to read the label. Doesn't say anything exciting anyway. So this guy folded last time. He seems to be limping pretty light, and he folded last time when we raised. This Nasio guy is playing every hand, playing a little crazy. You kind of wish he was to my right, but I think we can take advantage of his play if he's playing super loose. We may just kind of have to tighten up a bit, though, and just wait for him to get it in dumb or something like that, since he seems to be pretty happy with putting lots of chips in the pot. But for now, I mean, King Jack is probably better than anything he's calling with here. And again, this guy seems to be limp folding all the time, so I mean, certainly I think King Jack's a good enough hand to just, sort of isolate bet here. Not really isolation, I guess, since there's so many players behind us, but it's okay. Here I'm going to bet small and just see how this player responds. If he raises, I would be tempted to call. So he just folds there. So he is capable of folding, apparently. He's not going to stab us at every hand. So, all right. Good to know, good to know. I'm going to put in a new Belgian glass this time. But this is their winter seasonal stout. Let's see how it comes out. I don't have a Magic Hat glass. I haven't actually seen any Magic Hat glasses. I assume they have some. Alright. Well, it's Heart of Darkness, and it lives up to its name. It's very, very dark, very opaque. Can't see anything through that, really. I mean, decent head, though you can control the head the way you pour it. But it definitely is a darker head, too. I mean, that's how you can tell beer is really dark, when even the head looks kind of stained and tinged dark. Like, that's a dark beer. And this certainly has that going for it. The 5-10, I mean, we could try to do something fancy. I mean, because this guy keeps folding every time we're raising him. But I have no problem with just calling with his hand, too, since it's a pretty crappy hand. And we don't want to raise him every time. He might catch on. Go ahead and raise it up here. If he's got a spade, he might call, but we'll still be ahead, so that'd be good. He didn't bet out, so I'm guessing he doesn't have a king. And, certainly unlikely that he'd have the flush. He just gives it up, so he's got no spades, nothing on the board, whatever. All right, let's give this guy a try. Not blown away by the aroma. I was expecting something really dark and malty, which is what you think of when it's stout, and you usually get that out of the aroma as well. I'm getting a little bit of that. No, okay, actually, yeah, there is some dark richness to it. It's not bad. I like it. It's got a good smell. Smells like something I'd want to drink. Ooh. I really like the taste, actually, yeah. So it definitely comes out as a very dark, very heavy stout, very wintry type beer where you want to drink something big and alcohol-y and all that. This definitely does it. Of course, it's not actually that alcohol-y. I think it's only, 5.7% alcohol. So it's pretty low alcohol, but pretty solid stout overall. I mean, just very tasty, very dark, very deep. It reminds me of actually a much bigger stout than that. I think we can fold our button here. 3-9. Not excited about that hand. And Nasio's just been too aggressive to really try to be blind stealing with every hand here. But man, actually that's really tasty. It's got I'd say it's kind of chocolatey is what you're getting out of it. Some chocolatey darkness to it. It's really nice. And it doesn't come off as overly sweet, which is good. Like sometimes these stouts, especially, they come off as a little too sweet, but this one actually comes off just nice. It's got a little bit of chocolatey bitteriness. Seems like they balance the hops well. I mean, a good stout shouldn't be very hoppy, but just enough. When you have a stout, it's very malty, thick, syrupy, and especially if you have a really high alcohol stout, there's a risk of having too much sugar left over in the wort, and so you can get a little too much sweetness, since you need to balance that with the hops. In any case, I mean, again, this isn't super alcoholic, but still, it's dark enough and all that, but they balanced it very well, to where it doesn't come off as a very sweet stout, it just comes off as very nice, very dark, kind of chocolatey and rich, very malty, kind of everything you'd ask for in a nice winter stout. So, cheers to Magic Hat. I like this a lot, and it's definitely very different from any of their other offerings I've had before. Pretty nice. I like it. It gets a thumbs up of approval. So see if you can pick up the Heart of Darkness. Here we are, 10 Jack. Again, if this guy's going to keep just open limping, I'm just going to keep raising that, and we'll see what happens. Nasio folds. Button calls. We haven't seen the button do anything too out of line, I don't think. So we'll, be a little wary here. We're just trying to see if we can flop something nice. I think this is fine to just take a stab here, see what happens. He calls very quickly. We haven't seen him do anything crazy. I have no reason to believe that he doesn't have a king. So although I'm just gonna check it back. I mean, we could hope that we hit some good river card, or we could hope that club comes down or something like that on the river that we could really bluff at or something like that. And he might be worried, but I, the guy's tight enough. He didn't give up on the flop. Bets on the turn. I don't see any reason to really fight him over that pot. We could have tried to 3-barrel it, but I really kind of suspected he had a king, especially with his just quick call there. I mean, just no thought to it. Yeah, it seems like his most reasonable hand was something in that range. King, queen, king, jack sort of hand. Again, not playing with the HUD. I actually haven't put it on this computer yet, but I don't know. I've kind of been switching off on my other computer too. Sometimes I'll play with the HUD, sometimes without. Just trying to decide. I feel like sometimes I do get a little lazy with the HUD and don't pay as much attention to the hands. I'm like, the HUD's watching for me. What do I need to? And that's a very, very, very bad habit to get in. No, 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 no. If you're going to use a HUD, it's just got to be a resource. I mean, obviously, we're going to raise this up. Obviously, if you're, 10 tabling or something, then yeah, you're not going to be able to pay as much good attention anyway. And then you use your HUD to give you all the information on the players. But when you're, just playing a single table like this, you still should be playing very close attention if you want to be playing well. Sure, I'm just going to limp here. And he didn't raise us, so I assume he doesn't have an ace. So we'll just go ahead and bet out with what probably is the best hand. If it's not the best hand, we do have a backdoor flush. Not that exciting, though. Backdoor straight as well, but not a good one. Whatever. He checked back very quickly pre-flops. I mean, kind of seems like he didn't really have anything there. He was just waiting to get out of that hand. Yeah. This is one of those hands Jay Carver would play. I probably would not play there. I'm not super excited about the 9-10 off. That's not a bad hand, though. I think actually a lot of players would play that there. It's okay, but I mean, this guy seems kind of tight, too. I mean, I think most of the time he's just going to flop better than us. But with tight players, sometimes you can just, be so aggressive that they'll just give up pretty easily. They don't appreciate their ace highs or whatever, and we'll just fold them pretty easily. But, we're not really losing much by folding that there. Could raise it up here again, but we've been doing that a lot, and our hand's not super strong. Ace 5, and every once in a while he is going to have us, dominated or something, because he just seems to be limping. So, I mean, against that, if he's going to limp fold, then we should be attacking him when we can. But certainly, we have bad enough position here. We've got to worry about what the other players are going to do. We could easily be dominated by somebody. Just not a. I mean, and it's like, if he had folded there, I probably wouldn't have even opened this, just because mostly because Nasio was being so aggressive earlier. Although he seems to tone down the aggression, so maybe he just got a string of good hands or something. Oh, here he is jamming again. So let's see what he shows up with. Finally get to see. Yeah, so ace high flush draw. Yeah, it's reasonable. Ace high flush draw. Yeah, reasonable shove there. And the other guy had queens and overpair. So, I mean, seems like they both played that pretty reasonably. But let me just look at the exact action here. We're going to fold king 9 off suit under the gun. Not the worst hand, but not really something we want to be opening here. So fold. So Nasio limps here. So we don't see what the gym guy is open limping with, but Nasio just limps with the ace 7 suited. I guess that's fine. Standard raise here from the button. And then check, queen's bet, call, check, bet, call. Yeah, it all makes sense. So anyway, pretty reasonably played hand all around by all of them. I mean, we know at least sometimes Nasio's not bluffing. Of course, everybody's not bluffing sometimes, because you always pick up aces or something sometimes. I think we're going to raise this guy. I mean, every single time he's limping here, plus, yeah. I mean, he doesn't seem like a very strong player, so we're just going to keep attacking this Jim guy. Good, Nasio guy's gone, so now we don't have to... The other people don't seem super aggressive, so now I think we can start pumping up our aggression a bit. Opening a little wider and all that. I'm fine. We'll come along for the ride here. Nobody seemed very interested in this, so I feel like if I bet here... Interesting. Okay, well that was a good turn card for us. I was going to say, if I feel like if I bet here, it's going to be pretty fit or fold from them. I probably could have bet a little bit less. But now, given this turn card, I mean, we got to assume we have the best hand here. I mean... I think as a blocking bet here, slash to get some information, I'm going to go ahead and bet. Kind of small. If he raises here, we have to fold. He's got a 9. I mean, there's just no way he doesn't have a 9 or an overpair here. And almost certainly a 9. He's calling super fast. He's kind of tight. I mean, I believe him. And that's kind of why I want to bet the 60 cents here. Because what would have happened is if I checked to him, he would bet something bigger, like 80, 90 cents. And I probably would have had to call. Whereas with the 60 cents, I mean, unless we think this guy is bluffing there some amount of time, which I don't think he is, I think we just get our question quickly answered for a cheaper price. Yeah. So I think that was fine. People have different opinions about blocking bets. I think it's kind of, gone through history, and they're kind of on the decline now. A lot of people think, you're better off just check deciding or whatever. I don't know. In certain cases, I still kind of like the blocking bets. I think if you really think it through and you think through what were all the lines that could have happened on that river, but certainly, the way that hand played out, he certainly didn't have that bottom pair there. Like he had to have, even if he had an 8 or something, that would have been, which he could have had, it would have been a better 8 for us for sure. I mean, we had a pretty crappy hand. Opening a little loose here again. I think our opponents seem fairly tight, so I don't mind doing that. Let's see what they think. Raises us here. I mean, I think we can call. It sucks that we're out of position here. He could easily have a 2-pair combination or something. Could easily have a better king. Could possibly, I mean, certainly could have trips. He makes a big bet here, 2/3 pot. Again, without seeing this guy get out of line, we don't know him that well. I don't see a big reason continuing here. I'm fine with just folding that. I mean, we may just be getting owned here left and right, but without really knowing these players, I think that's fine to just let that go. I mean, he's certainly. I mean, he's very polarized at that bet. That either he's got us beat by a mile, or, we could just call here, I think. He's very polarized with that bet, though. He either has us beat by a mile, or he has total error that he's just sort of bluffing, I think. These bets haven't worked before, but let's just kind of see now what happens. I feel like if I keep betting at this, he's going to fold. He calls very quickly, but we make that, so I'll leave you with 2 cents. Nah, he folds. So he probably had like a 10 there. So we could have made that a little bit less if we assumed he had a 10 there or something. But he seemed to call really quick. I think an ace certainly was in his range. Just wasn't sure. I mean, I think we're still getting to kind of know what the heck that guy's doing. So I think certainly there were like aces in his range, and he probably would have called with them. If maybe he just had a 7 or something is possible too. I don't know. I'm not totally sure what he had there, but if I bet $1, yeah, maybe he's calling with some 10s. Is he going to raise me with some aces? I don't know. Let's bet out a dime. The bet button just looks so shiny there. We got a raise here. Sure. Alright, well, at least we got out of it cheap. The dime was pretty cheap. Again, I'm still just kind of testing them, but they seem to be not falling for my, little bet steal shenanigans here. I mean, these two guys seem kind of weak, I think, in general. But these guys don't. And this guy, he mostly seems weak. I mean, but we've seen in one or two hands kind of start putting money out there, so. Yeah, just the straight. So he hit that straight on the river, right? But he had raised there on the turn. Sorry, my computer's getting loud. I don't know if you can hear that. Yeah, we'll fold this. So let's see. So he had the straight. His opponent had, Jack King. It's reasonable. So he raised us when he hit his Jack on the turn. The 9-10, 8-9-10. Okay, so no, he had that on the turn, sorry. So he had the straight on the turn, so he raised there, which was reasonable, and then bet again on the river. Seems totally reasonable. Guy calling. I mean, he's got to be a little worried on the river. But, yeah. He's got to be a little worried on the river. I think he can maybe give that up on the river. Maybe. Because it just doesn't... It doesn't seem like your opponent there's too many worse hands that your opponent's going to bet with. Like, it feels like he's just going to check back with a lot of them. Why am I leading out for that? Fine. I was thinking too much about the amounts. I think I meant to make that 25 and whatever. It's fine. We got a pair. We got a pair. What do you think about that? We probably have the best hand here. So let's bet again. I'm actually fine with checking here. King's a bad card for us. I wanted to check there because, I mean, he's probably got like a 6 here or something, and so now he's going to call us on the river, whereas he would not have before. It sucks if he hit the king here, and that's certainly possible. And he just gives it up. Or maybe he had just like ace high or something, I don't know. Certainly didn't seem like he had the jack if he's not betting that river. I mean, and obviously when he folds, he doesn't have the jack, but... ace-6 suited, why not? Suited ace. Some cards. Yeah, we're getting a little loose. I feel like playing a little loose today. And like I said, I think we've got some tight players here. It's okay. We had that tight guy in the big blind, too, so... Seems alright. King 10. Okay, we'll check. I was thinking of raising it up maybe, but... This guy's so short. This guy, I don't know how he'd respond to that. And our hand doesn't really play too well if we get called. I think we're just going to check here. I mean, this guy's been playing fairly straightforward, but, I mean, what's he have here? Of course, now Jim's calling. I mean, at least one of them probably has ace high. I kind of doubt we have the best hand at that point, so I think it's fine to fold there. Kind of weird that you get 2 calls on that flop. I don't know what to think these guys have here. And he bets out, so he's saying he does have like a 2 or something. Which he'll call with if he does. 7-4. He's got the 2. He's just got a 7. Okay, yeah, I mean, that seems reasonable enough, but wait, he called on the flop with that 7-4? What was going on there? Right? Yeah, 7-4, and he calls on the flop. Oh, sorry, he hit the 4, yeah. So he had the 2 pair, but he had a bad 2 pair. Yeah, but I mean, there was nothing you do. So, okay, yeah. Okay, that seems reasonable. And this guy had trips, of course, which is kind of what I figured, especially once he raises on that river. I think you've got to write it off as your beat, as this Jim guy. I mean, he was just showing nothing but strength that whole hand. I mean... I mean, I guess, like, yeah, if he's got, like, ace-7 or something, you kind of show him, but... yeah, and it's kind of a weird lead by him, too. Like, he really thought there wasn't going to be another bet there. I don't know, that's a bit strange. Doesn't make sense to me. Alright, we got ourselves some lovely ladies. We've been raising up big, so let's raise up big again. because we got a good hand. And we've been kind of, playing around with our bet sizes anyway, so nobody should pick up anything from this. I do like this beer a lot, though. Definitely pick it up. You've seen the stores. Magic Hat, Heart of Darkness, Stout. Got pretty cool art, too. Alright, so we get a call from this guy. We probably got the best hand. I want to discourage any flush draws, though, or at least charge them to go any further. That's maybe a little too big. He calls really quickly. I think we can just bet here. I think this guy's been a bit stubborn whenever he's made something. And, yeah, we'll see what he does. If he raises us here, we'll have some thinking to do, but, I mean, what is he really repping? I mean, he's just got to have some, 6-7, basically. Yeah. We will fold this. So I think it auto-reloaded for us like twice. So I think we're about even right now. I am going to actually probably try to keep this to a half hour this time. But yeah, we'll see. Alright. So how about that final table of the main series? You guys watch that? My boy Jay Farber ripping it up. Jay Farber, I've met him once and contacted him once too while I was in Vegas, just briefly to get a hookup. But I felt like I knew him and knew him from the forums a bit and all that. Was Something Awful forums. He was a member on there, but it was really cool. It was actually kind of funny. Jay Farber, when I was in Vegas last time, was during the first part of the World Series, and I kept sending him messages, and it was taking forever to get responses from all that. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Why is this taking so long? Little did I know he's playing in the main event and kicking ass in it and all that kind of stuff. But hats off to him. He still got me in a club and all this shit. I mean, it was. Yeah, I mean, hats off to him for still bothering with some guy he doesn't really know or whatever. It still is yeah, I'm winning millions of dollars, but I can get you in a club, whatever. He really is an awesome guy. So I feel a little connection there. I was rooting him on, and I mean certainly, him blowing at second place. I wish he had. I wish he had won. Not just because it's him and whatever, but I think it would have been really awesome for poker for them to be here's this amateurish player. Although I think he showed that he actually does have a lot of skill and did quite well. I think he played quite well. There's a lot of good turn cards for us on this board. I don't mind. Well, it's four-handed. We're just going to check it. No, but I think it would have been awesome if he won just because it's this amateurish guy. He wins. I mean, it would have been another Chris Moneymaker story or something, right? I mean, people would have been going nuts. All right, well, now we've got an open-ender, and nobody else wants a piece of this, so we're going to go ahead and bet here. What do you think about that? So it would have been awesome for him to win just for poker in general. Of course, him hitting second is still freaking amazing. It's just it won't get the same press coverage that him winning would have. But, still, just fucking phenomenal. They did so well. I think he really proved, I think he had a good tournament strategy going in of just playing very, very tight, wait for people to make mistakes, try to outlast everyone, because, a lot of people do start making dumb mistakes in the later days. That's what he did. He just sat there, outlasted, found when people were getting desperate and making stupid shoves and all that kind of stuff, and he took advantage of that and, doubled up a few times, and, that was that. So I think he played really well. I think he had a solid strategy. We are going to go ahead and raise it up. $1. Get a call. Interesting. All right. So, but yeah. So, I think he had a good strategy when he was actually playing the main event. This is the exact flop. God damn it. This is the exact flop we don't want to see with kings here. If anybody gets too aggressive, we can maybe call for one street, but jeez. This is bad news, Bears. Yeah, we gotta fold. There's no way. Just no way. No way one of them doesn't have an ace there. But I think Jay's plan for the main part of the main event was excellent. And I think for the final table, he obviously had worked with some of his pro player friends, studied up, changed his game a lot, got more aggressive, and really showed and really paid off. And I mean, yeah, you could say, yeah, he got lucky in spots, and yeah, any pro will tell you, even the pros have to get lucky to make it to that final table. So I think he did a great job, though. It was real good. This guy's shown nothing but strength. And I think when he makes his bet here, somebody's got a flush. If he doesn't have any prior information on this guy, then I've got to assume he's got a flush here. If he has some prior information and knows this guy can make this fold, I don't know. And knows that guy probably did not have the flush. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. Alright. It's a shame, though. The kings did not go well. I've actually looked in my poker tracking software, and, kings are, aces, obviously, I've made money with, but kings I've actually net lost money with. Now, when you do all-in adjusted, I've made money with them, as you should with kings, but, interestingly, I've gotten sucked out a lot on kings. And then there, you hit bad luck. You never want to see an ace come down when you've got pocket kings. Anyway, what was I saying? So I think Jay played well, and I think he showed that, he did have some poker background, and I think he certainly, it helped him out. It showed, it wasn't just dumb luck. Know that. So, good for Jay. We're just going to keep betting, T-betting like we do. Take it down. Sounds good. We can fold this. And I think, at the heads up at the end, I think Jay got frustrated. And I think I've definitely played heads up matches that have come out like Jay's did, where it was just where your opponent's constantly making hands. None of your bluffs work because your opponent always has a hand every single time. You just get really frustrated, and you really start second-guessing yourself, because you're just how can you get a read on somebody when they always have a hand every time? You don't know when they're weak, because they're never weak, or whatever. And that was kind of what was happening. Every time he was bluffing, it didn't matter, because his opponent had the nuts anyway, or had, the heads-up nuts, had really good hands for heads-up and all that. And he got rivered a lot of times and all that, and it just, I think he did not play very well when he was getting short stacked. He let himself get too short stacked at the end there, a couple of times. The first time he went down and the second time, he should have just been in sort of shove mode at some point there. I don't think he wanted to. He wanted to try to outlast and chip away. But when your opponent's got a 4-1 chip advantage, you're going to need to double up at some point. And just sitting there and letting him out aggro you and that sort of thing, which is what he was doing. Yeah, you're just gonna chip down to to the point where he has a 10-1 chip advantage on you, and then you've got to shove anyway. And then even if you win that, you're still way behind. So I didn't particularly like his short stack play, but I think it was partially just out of frustration of really getting screwed in the cards. I don't know if any. I don't think any. If you look at if you picked Phil Ivey with those cards, and then some other random not as good pro or something like that, or Durr with those cards, I don't with Jay's cards, I don't know if Durr would have been able to pull it out there. It would have been pretty tough. I don't know, maybe he would have. He's Durr. But if your opponent is constantly making great hands, he can never be bluffed. And if he can't bluff, he can't win in poker, over the long term. Anyway, but I thought it was very exciting to watch, and, just very cool. And, of course, Jay did get some pretty sweet bluffs in there and all that. And, Jay was a good sport the whole time, and he had a guy in a panda costume come out there. That was awesome. Come on. Raising it up here. Probably haven't been paying close enough attention to this game. It's poker. We're talking poker. We're watching poker. Whatever. It's, It'll work itself out. Uh, yeah, don't know much about this guy to my left right now. Probably only gonna play an orbit or two more. We're gonna actually try. My original intention was 30 minutes, but 30 minutes for these videos just seems short, especially if I'm only doing once a week, right? So you guys can deal with the 45 minutes, right? Is that okay? You know, it feels like, it takes 30 minutes is about the mark where you start at least getting a feel for the table, I think. Like really getting a feel and really starting to own people. So, then you go to the 45-minute mark, and yeah. King deuce suited. We will raise it up for sure in the cutoff here. Also, I thought the coverage was really good for the final table. I liked having Antonio do it. I think, for the World Series, the two guys they have doing it normally, I think they do a great job, especially compared to some of the other poker shows, especially some of like the European poker shows are just like, they get some very bad people to do those. The World Series does a great job of it, as you would hope they would. But even still, like Antonio's insight is way bigger than a lot of those guys are, and I think Antonio has a lot more perspective. Like, like a lot of times you hear from these just random poker broadcasters, oh, I wouldn't do that. Why is he doing that? That's so dumb, or whatever. And there's never really, there's very few moves in poker where you're just like, there is only one right answer here. Because they were even criticizing like hands you're opening with. Oh, why are you opening with ace five or something like that? And it's like, well, in some situations you would open with ace five, in some situations you wouldn't. You really have to know your table. You have to know what's going on with the blinds. Are we in a bubble structure? Are people getting ready to bubble out here? Did you just win a big hand, or you kind of just have this momentum? Then yeah, maybe you do keep playing with that hand and all that. So yeah. So I think I think like sometimes the other commentators don't have a lot of perspective on that. Like even if they're decent at poker and understand the ABC poker and all that, they don't seem to have a good understanding of like this adaptive play and what that all means and all that. And of course they try to get like those little Phil Hellmuth bits, and Phil Locke and Antonio were coming in for those little bits for the other parts of the World Series. But really having Antonio there the whole time was like awesome. It was great. Really liked that. But Antonio was saying, and so Jay Carver, Jason Somerville did a sure we can call it this hand. Jason Somerville did an interview with Antonio asking him about it. It was interesting because Antonio said like the producers, I guess, tell him to like, let's go ahead and raise this here. The producers go ahead and tell him to like try and predict the hands, since they can't actually show the hands or whatever. It's like, oh, have Antonio try and predict which hands they have in there, which is kind of a normal thing, but they really wanted to do it, and they really wanted to be specific, because people like seeing the hands and all that. And that was a big part of televising poker, was these, hole cams and all that. Here we just gotta check. I don't know what this guy's open limping with under the gun. When he bets out here, he's got to have an ace, right? Yeah. Or an ace or a straight. Yeah, we'll drop it here. The check back in the river sucks because we're kind of turning our hand face up, but I just don't think he's just calling there without anything. And yeah, it could have been a lot of things. So yeah, so Antonio was saying that they're trying to get him to predict specific hands, saying like, oh, he definitely has this hand, he definitely has this hand. And you could do that with some success, but nobody's perfect about that, obviously. So it was interesting because I remember when I was watching it, him like keep predicting hands and being like, well, nope, that was wrong, or whatever. And it's just because that's how poker works. Like there is like a straightforward way to play poker, and you can watch people play, and it's pretty easy to say like, well, if everybody's playing face up standard type poker, then this has got to be this hand. I think this will be our last hand here. But if everybody's playing ABC poker, then you can pretty accurately predict at least people's ranges and stuff like that. But when you're talking about like a serious final table like this, when you're talking about a serious final table like that, you know, I mean, the play is so high level that there could just be so many things going on. Well, we got ourselves a flush draw here. Let's see what he thinks about that. Calls it off very quickly. We could triple barrel it here. Gosh, he leads out on here. I mean, we're just getting... See, I don't know if we're just going to go and getting beat up here. You know, if these guys are playing super aggressively and playing really well, then they're beating us up here. If not, I don't know. But we have to fold, obviously. Yeah. You know, again, there's ABC Poker says to fold there. If I know that these guys are doing crazy things and being super aggressive and really picking on me, then I can, you know, try to get creative there. But he's like double floating and leading out and all that. I mean, that'd be nuts, you know. Especially when we're leading out there and all that. Anywho, well, thank you for watching. What was I saying? Oh, so the last point I was just making about that coverage is it's very hard to predict hands when you're looking at high-level poker because people try very creative moves, and they often try those moves with more information than you have. You know, they know, they know something about their opponent that you might not, or they picked up on some subtle thing, or they're closer to them, they're getting reads that you might get, and all that kind of stuff that you can't really take into account if you're just in the commenters box. So, so realistically, expecting Antonio to be able to point out every single hand is just like, yeah, impossible. But again, I can see why they do it. I mean, if you want to make this appealing for the general public, they like to see that. They like to see what cards they have, and they just like the sweat. Whereas, like, for me, I actually kind of enjoy the don't reveal the cards till the end a lot better, because you can sit there and really think through and do this thought process and all that of, like, what do I think he has? What do I think he has? What do I think, go back and forth and back and forth. And, you can really do that without tainting, tainting your thought process with this extra knowledge. So I kind of like that better. I don't know if I would want to watch hours of that. Maybe I would, actually, but I'm sure, like, the general public, they like what they show on, the normal World Series coverage, which is like, look at this guy who got aces in against kings. Isn't that crazy? And it's like, well, that's poker, and it happens, and you have to do it, and it's just, statistically, it's right to get it in with kings and all that, pretty much no matter what. So, yeah. Anyway, where was I going with this? Good beer. Heart of Darkness. Magic Hat. Anyway, thank you for watching, guys. And tell your friends if you enjoyed, or tell me if you enjoyed. I only get a few viewers on here, I know. I'm going to start advertising more. I might actually change the location of the channel, but I'll tell you guys about that as well. But thanks for watching. If you are, please, let me know if you're watching, and let me know if you're enjoying it, all that. Let me know if there's something you want to change or something horrible I'm doing that, you think is killing people. I think right now, though, I haven't advertised this at all, other than on something awful, which only has about, 10 poker players on it now. So I'm going to start advertising out more, go out to Reddit, go out to 2+2, some of the other poker forums out there, and see what they think about it, and all that. If you want to help me advertise too, tell your friends about it or whatever, anybody you think might be interested, that'd be cool too. But if not, I enjoy just doing it for you guys. I just enjoy doing it for myself, but I do love any feedback you can give me. So appreciate you watching. I'll keep making these videos. I'm going to stick to the regular schedule now. Sorry for that gap a few weeks back or whatever, but we're going to stick to the regular schedule. So I hope you enjoy watching these, and I'll see you guys later. Adios.